Kimmy's Haikus, number 4. Helmets are special. I wipe it so that I can see better. It protects my head. Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 Word and to the 2018 Christmas special live. How are we all doing in chat? Merry Christmas to everyone. Happy holidays if that's how you celebrate this time of year. Just hopefully everyone has a great time. Nice and chilled tonight. Lots of cheese and festive stuff coming up. So lots to get through in the next, I'm going to say hour. If you're a long-term follower of the channel, you know that's never going to happen. But coming up over the next hour plus, I'm going to be taking some of your questions from over on Twitter. Also be taking some from you in the chat as well. Lots of your comments tonight. Make this as interactive as possible. There is the naughty or nice list. That is back. Oh yes, there'll be more from Kimmy's Haikus. Sorry about that one. Cheese on toast, I did warn you. We've also, what else have we got? We've got a goodbye to an absolute legend coming up. And on top of that, we've got yet more F1 Word outtakes. Yes, we have. But this time, the F1 Word outtakes will be featuring Jonty and Dan. And on that note, let's say a very good evening and a massive Merry Christmas to Jonty.
Good evening, Sean and everyone. Merry Christmas. I know we're a couple of days early, but we can't really be doing this Christmas Day now, can we?
Definitely not. I'll be too drunk and stuff. I can't wait. I love Christmas. Are you a big Christmas fan, Jonty? You all ready for it?
I'm not, but it's a lot better this year. I'm actually looking forward to it.
That's good stuff. Good stuff. And also, good evening. And this will make sense a little bit later in the stream, but happy holidays, Dan.
Happy holidays, man. Oh, this is going to be a lot of fun today. It really is. I'm really looking forward to it. And Jonty, you got to get in that Christmas spirit, man. So I'm glad you're looking forward to it a little bit more this year. Oh, it's going to be great.
I'll throw the same question at you. Are you a Christmas guy? Do you enjoy it?
I think it's safe to say I'm a Christmas guy. I'm a happy holidays guy. I'm definitely a happy holidays guy. So yeah, Christmas is definitely a brilliant time of year.
Good stuff. Well, I've got my beer ready. I don't know about you two, but I've got a beer on, I was going to say on tap, but it's just sat there. It's not really on tap. We're going to kick off with a couple of questions from over on Twitter before we get into some of the random videos I've got for you today. And the first couple that I've got are quite tasty and sort of looking forward to next year. And the first one comes from James Line over on Twitter. Says, without Force India losing their points mid-season, they would have been just behind Renault in the constructor standings. With the assumed investment from Lawrence Stroll and his consortium, what do you think we could expect from them next season, i.e. potential podiums, etc.? Now, I looked into this. 111 points they'd have had if you combined Force India's points with racing points, if that makes sense. And Renault got 122, so they were very, very close in the end if you combine those. So do we reckon, Jonty, they can be knocking on the door of podium, or are they going to be fighting probably with Renault for best of the rest next year?
Well, they certainly have got a chance to it, because if rumours are to be believed, at the start of this year, the investment with the whole Alpha deal with Sauber was worth somewhere in the region of 20 million euros. So Lawrence is clearly going to be bringing in a lot more than that. And Racing Force India, Point India Force are always thereabouts, hunting for the podiums if the top three have a bit of an issue. With that much more investment, they've got to be up there.
They're a great foundation, aren't they? They were like that at Jordan, really punching above their weights. And if they've got, you'd assume they'll have a good engine from Mercedes next year, and they can get the chassis right and get anywhere near what they had this year, they could be sitting quite pretty. And I think that midfield is going to be ridiculously tight next year, isn't it? And even more than this season. So that's a scrap definitely worth watching. I think they've got a good driver lineup. I know that's going to get me slammed. But, Perez, experienced, consistent, good midfield driver. Stroll has a potential to be good in that midfield. So I think they'll do all right next year, and they might surprise a few.
Definitely. Every single year, even at the beginning of this year, they weren't that great. At the beginning of this season, they were outside the points, but then over the course of the year, they proved us all wrong again. And like you say, they would have just missed out on that fourth spot in the constructors. So for sure, yeah, they're going to be in the hunt again next year, but you think you've got the likes of McLaren, you'd like to think would be able to go up the table a little bit, maybe a resurgence from Williams. And we've been talking for quite some time now about Raikkonen and Sauber, if they can make another jump next year. So it's going to be close next year. But again, I think you can't discount Force India or Racing Point or Team Canada, whatever you want to call them. So I'm going to be positive today. I'm in that positive, festive mood. And I think, we can see them on the podium.
That's a good point, because Sauber, Kimi's experience, they should have a little bit more money. I saw something on their budget, actually. I think they only had $10 million more in their budget for 2018 than they had in 2017. So with that Alpha money coming in probably for next season, they could be sitting quite pretty. I'm really, obviously the championship battle is going to be fantastic, but I'm also really looking forward to that scrap in the midfield. But in terms of that championship battle, and this leads us quite nicely onto it, this comes from genuine name on Twitter, Old Grandma. There you go. Do you think Red Bull with Honda next year will be able to challenge for the title? I'm not saying win next year. I'm saying be a close second or third to the winner. I really do. I'm going to stick my neck on the line early now. I don't think over the course of the season that they're going to have enough with Honda, because I don't believe that power unit is going to be as reliable as Red Bull are hoping. I think the power is there. I don't think it's on a par with Ferrari and Mercedes, but I think it's on a par with Renault almost. So reliability just needs to be nyeh. And if they can pick up odd wins, I think they can challenge. But 21 races, Honda with their reliability issues, can you see them challenging for the title, or are they going to have to settle for third in no man's land once again, Red Bull?
It's a tricky one, because obviously there's that Honda reliability hanging over the heads, like you say. But we've all got to think, I know we go on about him a lot and we can sound like a fanboy, but they've got Newey on the case. He is the man when it comes to designing stuff. He really is. And if it's true that Red Bull have turned to Honda and said, you make the best engine you possibly can and we will make the car fit it, then they're going to surprise a lot of people, even if there is a reliability issue. But I don't think there will be a reliability issue, because a lot of that came down to cooling and McLaren's insistence on this size zero packaging. I really do think they're going to surprise a lot, because even the Toro Rossos were a lot more reliable than expected this year.
Well, the Toro Rossos were fairly competitive until Red Bull made the decision to switch to Honda, and then they just became the test team, didn't they? So they could have achieved a lot more, definitely.
Absolutely, and like I say, they haven't really been unreliable. There's just been a lot of, let's test this part, let's test that part, drive this until it blows, see what the limits are. It's worth sacrificing a year with the junior team to get that data.
What do you reckon, Dan? Do you think they can be in there challenging at all?
That's
a no.
Well, yeah, it is a no, really. I think looking at the gap this year between Mercedes and Ferrari to Red Bull, I don't see them closing it up with the switch to Honda engines. I really don't. And that's probably a bit negative, which is something I didn't want to do today. But even with Max Verstappen, who I think a lot of us now put him as one of the best drivers on the grid, probably I'd put him in top two, maybe. I think now I really do rate him now. I think he's had a brilliant end to the season. No one's going to debate that. But even with that Max Verstappen power, and I think Gasly's going to have a strong season as well, I just don't see them clawing up to Mercedes and Ferrari in their first year with Honda. I really don't. I think they'll be on a similar level. And all right, maybe if there's a crazy race with a bit of carnage going on, that they could pick up a win. But no, I just don't see it at this current point. I'm hoping I'm proved wrong. I'm hoping, but no, at the moment, I still think they'll be third, but I think they'll be almost in a bit of no man's land where they're in front of the rest of the pack, but still a little bit off those top two teams.
Here's a question from me. I'll come to you first, Dan, and then I'll ask the same to Jonty. But do you think if Red Bull were offered third now, with all the uncertainty around Honda, do you think they'd take it?
Yeah, I think they would. I think they're going to be realistic. And I think, even though Horner's come out and said they're going to be fighting for wins, I think realistically, in your first year, you can't be aiming for championships straight away. I mean, look at McLaren and the issues they had early doors. And like you've just said, John T, Toro Rosso weren't that bad this year. That fourth place in the second race, that's pretty naughty. So, yeah, third place, I think they'd take it. And if they can just have okay reliability, then, yeah, I'm sure they can get it.
I was just going to say, sorry, there is another point in this whole discussion, because it's either very worrying news or starting the playing mind games early. But we've had the reports from Toto Wolff saying that they've got off on the wrong foot with development for next year's engine. So that could be putting Mercedes back a little bit. How true it is, we don't know. We know how certainly Mercedes and Ferraris are for playing these little games. Oh, no, we're not very fast, and they come out and blitz everyone. So there might be something to read into it, but it's worth considering.
I feel like next year is going to be ridiculously close at the front. I do feel that. I don't know. Like I said, I don't think Red Bull will challenge for the title, but I think they can pick up wins. I wouldn't be surprised, a bit like Dan said, actually, if they were just pretty much as they were this year. But I think that would be a big step and a great start with Honda. But what about Renault? I'm kind of wandering off a little bit here from questions from people. But what about Renault, Jonty? Do you think fourth is the best they can hope for next year? Or do you think with the changes not coming that we're expecting in 2021, they might be pushing a little harder to maybe move further up the grid?
Well, they've got to be very careful because look at the improvements Alba had this year. If they can keep that going, they are going to be breathing right down Renault's necks, along with the extra investment with Force India. Renault have got to be very much concerned about the guys coming up behind them.
Yeah. It's going to be, like I said, it's going to be so tight in that midfield. Let's take one more question before we go to the naughty or nice list. Let's see what we've got. I've got one here from Jonty's Corner. Never heard of him. Says, "Am I still your favourite, or has Dan usurped me?" You know the answer to that, mate. I can't win in this answer, can I? I'm wrong either way. But you were the first there. You were the first, mate. You were there from the second stream, so you know the answer to that one. Dan's just here because he's nuts, and we need a Grosjean fan to keep people happy. Of course. What crazy or odd CGI graphics will Liberty Media put into the live broadcast next year? Eagle Shadow, certain beer company star. That comes from Robert McPhee. Hopefully nothing, because we don't need the CGI. Well, actually, no. Some would argue Formula One does need the CGI at the minute because there's not really an awful lot going on track. But I don't really want to see any CGI, to be honest.
I have been thinking about this one after I read it, and I'm concerned about what crazy stuff they could come up with. I mean, look, in the past we had the Eagle Shadow and the Star, like was mentioned. Thinking with the proposed overtaking possibility, percentage, chance, whatever you want to call it, I think we could get something like predicted lines being overlaid on the track surface. Is the way you could get round to go with the probability of overtaking.
See, if we're going to have CGI graphics, if it's something they want to keep in the sport, I'd much rather have it something informative like that. I don't know if you agree, Dan, just something that does show the predicted lines or something, not a star or an eagle, we don't need that sort of thing. Maybe I'm being boring, I don't know.
I think it's quite funny.
You would.
It's terrible. It's terrible. And I like the ones where it's outside the circuit, not silly Rolex as the big wheel in Singapore, none of that nonsense, but ones where it's on like the crash barriers, I think's okay. But it does give me a chuckle during the race when all of a sudden I'm thinking, what's that giant star doing on the circuit? Give me a chuckle. But no, more informative stuff's always great for new fans, and I hope they don't go too crazy. Some of the Formula E stuff's even a little bit out there, so keep it to a bare minimum if possible. But no, informative stuff, especially for new fans, is a nice little touch.
Can we keep the Formula E stuff to a separate channel, please, Dan? Sorry. Had to get it in there somewhere. I had to do it.
There is other stuff that they could do. There's been a lot of research into Schlieren photography. I ain't got time to explain it. Look it up. That people have been trying to make it work with just normal focused lights and lasers and what have you. If they were able to get that working on the cars, you would be able to physically see the dirty air coming off the back. That would be brilliant to see overlaid, but that's very, very difficult.
Yeah, if it's informative and it's something interesting like that, that's fine. But I don't rate the star across the track and things like that. But we'll come back to some questions in a moment. Like I say, I'll take some from you in chat. But earlier this week, Dan and I got together to do the annual, this is only the second time we've done this, but the annual naughty or nice list for the F1 word. And that is coming up sandwiched between two of Kimmy's haikus. Kimmy's haikus number 9, minding opinions. Motivation to race, nobody knows what I think, apart from myself. Hello, Dan. Merry Christmas, mate.
Hi, mate. Happy holidays.
You went with happy holidays, did you? Lovely, keeping it nice and everybody friendly.
Exactly, mate. I just want everyone to be happy at Christmas, and this stream's been going brilliant, and this is going to be a lot of fun.
That is awesome. That is absolutely awesome. So what we're going to do, same as last year, naughty and nice list. I've got some names thrown in a official F1 word hat, which you can't buy anywhere. So limited edition, as in, I think there's only me and 3 others that have them. We're going to draw a name out, and then based on how we feel they've behaved over the course of the season, we're going to either stick them on the naughty list or the nice list. So let's go straight for this, Dan. Let's see what we've got. And I'm going to start with, if I can read my own handwriting, this was genuinely not rigged, Romain Grosjean. Would you believe it?
Wow. This we don't need to spend too long on this one, do? This is the beautiful list. You know, not only is he the best driver on the grid, he's got a sexy beard, he's handsome. I mean, this guy knows, he even puts on a show with his crashes, mate. There's no debate.
I hear what you're saying. You're wrong, but I hear what you're saying. But Spain was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Crashing in Baku, and then his engineer blaming Ericsson, and Grosjean not coming out and saying, no, nobody hit me, just letting that fly. He's got to go on the naughty list. Come on, just for that one in Spain on its own.
No, you've seen all the highlight reels of 2018. They'd be boring without that. I mean, this dude is pure entertainment. That's the only reason Haas have kept him on for next year, mate. He's a load of laughs. It's all banter at the end of the day, these crashes. No one got hurt. You saw the Hulkenberg crash at the end of the season. It's brilliant. Lots and lots of spice from Grosjean. Nice list every day of the week. I can see chat already having a go at you, mate. There's no way he's on the naughty list.
Rubbish, absolute rubbish. Chat, as always, will be on my side. There's no look. He's got to come on, like level-headed, Dan. Looking at his behaviour early in the season, forget how good he did turn around. It's got to be naughty list, surely.
No, I'm just going to say one last thing, and then you'll agree with me. He's got a cookbook
that you as his number one fan don't have. So until you have that cookbook, come back next year and he can go on the nice list, but he's got to go on the naughty list. Let's move on to the next one. Genuinely, everybody, that wasn't rigged. I was going to try and rig it to get Grosjean in at some point. Next up is Lance Stroll, our new prince, our new king of the Discord server. I mean, moaning early in the season, his comments in Monaco, why bother racing anymore, and things like that. Yes, that's right. Lance Stroll is from the north of England. But yeah, I think naughty list, just based on that, to be honest, and a couple of misdemeanors over the year. I mean, it's not a bad year, but I think attitude-wise, I'd have to stick him on the naughty list.
Well, this all depends on how much money he's given us all for Christmas, doesn't it? So we won't find out until a couple of days' time. But yeah, I've got to lean towards the naughty list, I'm afraid, Lance. Even stealing Esteban's seat, that wasn't very nice. So yeah, I'm going to go with the naughty list as well.
A very nice, easy one. Let's have a look at the next one. I'm ruffling my paper so you can hear me do this, so you don't think I'm rigging it. We have got Sebastian Vettel. What do you reckon, Dan? It's difficult to put him on the nice list given the fact that he played his part in throwing Ferrari's chances of a title away, and he has been crashing with a few people, so I'd be inclined to lean naughty list, but I can't think that he's been particularly nasty away from the track, if that makes sense.
No, I don't remember anything nasty. He did punch his car up a little bit after he decided to blow it up in Germany. That wasn't very nice. He's been crashing too much. You can't say about Grosjean, without saying Vettel's been crashing. So, yeah, it's going to have to be naughty list again, I'm afraid, I think.
That's your argument for everything, isn't it? Well, if Grosjean's on the naughty list, then he should be as well.
Well, it's facts at the end of the day.
So I'm going to pull out another one. Let's have a look at what we've got. I pulled out 3 there for some reason, but we'll just go with the one. Sergio Perez, naughty list all day long. Just, if nothing else, for what happened in Singapore, and people can sod off with the Esteban Ocon was in a dangerous position.
For the first time this year, I'm going to agree with you.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Even for smacking Sorokin out the way in that race. How rude, how disrespectful from Sergio. I expect better. He's had his present early on in the year in Baku. He doesn't need anything else yet. Slap him on that naughty list.
So basically, just to clarify this one, if he hadn't bothered turning up to Singapore, he probably would have been on the nice list because he just had a crazy weekend. These are really tasty tonight. Max Verstappen.
Ooh.
I mean, I'm going to throw your Grosjean argument at you. If we've put Grosjean on the naughty list for his behaviour in the first half of the season, Verstappen's got to go on there.
I do like Max. He's a nice boy. Difficult start to the year. You know, no one's going to say he had a brilliant start. He didn't, let's be honest. But he made those changes, and at the end of the year, he was looking brilliant. He's looking nice and positive going into the new year with Honda. I'm sticking him on that nice list.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a fantastic second half to the season. There's no denying that. But, you know, the incident in China, 6 incidents in the first 6 races. Can we really overlook that and put him on the nice list?
Yes, I think we can.
You're just scared of the comments section. Don't lie. That's all this is.
Well, the Orange Army are a scary bunch of people, but I love them. He has been good. He got 4th in the standings. He could have got 3rd. You know, it doesn't matter at the beginning of the season because at the end of the season, he delivered the goods. Come on, man. He's got to be on the nice list.
Stop making excuses for Grosjean. I know what this is. I'm not stupid. There you go. People think I hate Verstappen anyway, so I would put him on the naughty list for his first half. You wouldn't, so we'll have to agree to disagree on that one. We'll do 2 more. Brendan Hartley. Tricky one. Nice guy. Really nice guy. Shame it couldn't work out in Formula 1 for him.
Well, yeah, I don't think he's done too much wrong, but I don't think he's done too much right. I mean, I didn't even see him in half the races, to be honest. He seems like a nice guy. He's been thrown out in the cold by Toro Rosso, so we'll take you in, Brendan. We'll give you a nice couple of gifts and a hot chocolate. Yeah, you got to chuck him on the nice list for Christmas.
The last one, rather apt in many ways, Fernando Alonso. What do you reckon, Dan? I want to put him on the nice list because it's his last season and we need to be nice to him and whatnot. But as I said in yesterday's video, he has done a hell of a lot of moaning lately.
A bit too much moaning. I want to leave this on a positive note. You know, spread that holiday spirit, but a little bit too much moaning, being a bit of a Grinch, has Fernando Alonso recently. It's a difficult one. I'm going to put my neck on the line and say, yeah, you might have to just go on that naughty list.
Got to throw what happened in Abu Dhabi as well into that mix. 3 penalties on the final so many laps for cutting the corner.
Very true, but then you think about the race in Azerbaijan. I mean, that was some magical stuff there. So, it's a tough one.
It is a tough one, and I've just said that about Abu Dhabi, but part of me would want to put him on the nice list for that because it's just bloody brilliant. What a brilliant idea. I'm done with F1. I don't know. Track limits? What a track limits. I'm off straight on, mate, cutting this corner. Look at me set fastest laps and get Sean excited in the watch-along. Yeah, I think for his moaning, he'd go on the naughty list. But for his F1 career, probably parts of 2007 aside and maybe a couple of other races as well, I think you put him on the nice list. But yeah, I've got to put him on the naughty list. I think that's the only fair way to do it. But we'll leave it there for the naughty and nice list for this year, Dan. Sad times. We're going to have to wait a whole 12 months to do this again.
What a shame. What a shame, but it'll be worth it. It'll be worth the wait.
We'll have a great time next year, just as we have with this one. But now I'm going to do something really weird and throw back to myself on the stream. Kimmy's Haikus, number 7, Asphalt. I prefer like it used to be. You make a mistake, you pay a price. There you go then, the naughty or nice list for 2018. Great point by a couple of you in chat. Sergio Perez should be on the nice list because he did say Force India. But what I will say to people getting upset, just take it with a pinch of salt. It's a bit of fun, a bit of banter. Don't take anything today too seriously at all. But seeing as Dan and I did that list, Jonty, do you agree, disagree? Would you have made any changes to that?
No, I said it in the chat. From what he's done this year, Vettel doesn't deserve to be on the nice or naughty list. He just needs his own stupid list.
Harsh. Yeah, I think Perez would have to put on the nice list, wouldn't we, if we're changing that? But I think everybody else was just a bit of fun. Max was difficult. I struggled with Max, you could probably tell. But that video was originally about 12-15 minutes long, so that's the cut down version for you. So maybe there'll be some outtakes from that at some point. But we'll take a few more questions. Did see one from Praveen Sony somewhere in chat asking about Charles Leclerc, I believe. If I can't find it, I did get the gist of it. Let's have a quick look. No, it was, what do we reckon for Charles Leclerc's chances of the title next season? In all honesty, if Ferrari turn up with a title challenger of a car like they did this year, or should have done this year, had things gone their way, I think he's got a chance, hasn't he, Jonty? Really, I mean, you can't rule out somebody in the top 2 teams on the grid for a title challenge this early.
Well, if he keeps sort of his career snowball going, then he's definitely in with a shot, because every time he stepped up a series, he's absolutely dominated. Formula One's a little bit different because of the spread of the cars, but he's come up and done amazingly well. So going into a top team, surely the next logical step will be taking the title, and he's definitely got a chance.
What do you reckon, Dan?
He's going to win it. I mean, there's no point, no need for a long answer. He's going to win it. You know, he's better than Vettel, and Ferrari are going to have the best car. So you put the two together, he's won the championship. Easy does it.
Yeah, there you go. So there you go. That one sorted. Keep your questions coming in chat. We got one. I'm going to answer. There's a couple that were sort of directed straight at me, which I will read out towards the end. But we did get one. If Schumacher stayed at Ferrari in 2007, would Hamilton be a 5-time world champion in 2018? That came from Amir over on Twitter. It's a difficult one when you start doing these what ifs, isn't it? Because you could easily argue, I don't know how you feel about this, Jonty, but you could easily argue that if Damon Hill got as close to the title as he did in 94, if Imola hadn't have happened, Senna probably would have won the title. You look at had Schumacher not broken his leg in 99, would he have won the title? So it's really difficult looking at the what-if scenarios, because it can chop and change. You know, what if there weren't things going on in 2007? You know, had McLaren pitted Hamilton, he might have won the title in 2007 in China. So he could well have had 6 by now, if that makes sense. So I struggle with those, but it's an interesting question.
Yeah, it is. It's always an interesting one to look at. Like you say, the what ifs. You know, what if Schumacher hadn't cheated in 97? I like how you skirted around that one and just mentioned the year instead of the incident. But he could have done. I think McLaren was the stronger package overall in 2007, but we had other things going on, and secrets, unannounced punishments, which is one of the conspiracies that's going around quite a lot. He could have done it, but it's a tough one.
I love that conspiracy. And if I were to have a dream F1 dinner party, the 3 people I would want there are Ron Dennis, Fernando Alonso, and Lewis Hamilton, and they have to tell the truth. Because, and you can call me Hamilton fanboy and that I'm being bitter or salty about the fact he didn't win the title, but a team of McLaren's experience leaving a driver that long out on those tyres in China with the title on the line, knowing they could pit him and he'd still be in the title hunt, and then his car just randomly shuts down during the Brazilian Grand Prix, and it just... something's not right. I'm like you on that. Christmas tinfoil hats on, Jonty.
Yeah, tinsel hats.
Yes.
Yeah, silver tinsel hats. But, I mean, it's pretty much a slam dunk as far as I'm concerned. Most conspiracy theories are just crazy. But this one, like you say, there is no possible way a team like McLaren can make that kind of mistake. And obviously, Hamilton was aware of this, because no driver of that caliber, even in their first year, would just stay there, would just stay out and do as is told. When you can physically see the canvas, he would just come in and wait in the pit, you know, cause one of those mad rushes.
Yeah. What do you reckon, Dan? Are you buying into conspiracies, or are we just being 2 old men that have too much time on our hands?
You guys have been talking a lot of sense. Obviously, you know, 8-year-old Dan probably didn't have a lot to think about at the time. Probably didn't have a clue what was going on with Spygate and all that nonsense. But it's a fun one to think about. But I suppose with the question, the driver market would have looked very different, and would Hamilton have even got a seat in 07? So, and then as well, would have McLaren maybe controlled their drivers and maybe used team orders a little bit more to say, well, we'll just put maybe Fernando as the guy going for the title. So, yeah, it's a difficult one, but yeah, I'll just stay in the middle ground and just let you two argue over this one.
Rick says, what if Jacques Villeneuve didn't talk out of his backside? Then we'd have to listen to him and take him seriously. Just ignore Jacques Villeneuve.
We have a lot less entertainment on Twitter after races on a Sunday, because half the time, whenever he says something, it's people laughing at him on Twitter, which is great fun, I must admit.
Fantastic question from John in chat. Now that the season has ended, how much did your opinion on the Halo change? That is a really good question. Genuinely one I've not been asked yet. It changed quite quickly. My only I was all for the head protection safety eventually. I know I did one of my first videos was a big rant about it and how much I hated the idea, but then looked at all the facts, looked at the stats and all the FIA investigation and kind of became a little bit more pro Halo, not 100%. It looked hideous, all the concepts we saw, and then it got on the car in Australia and I looked at it and went, I mean, it doesn't look great, but it doesn't look awful. And by the middle of the Bahrain Grand Prix, I'd completely forgotten, to be honest. I don't know about you, Dan.
Well, I can probably say it now without probably getting shouted out. But at the very beginning of the season, I wasn't against the Halo, if I'm being totally honest. Which, like I say, if I said that, when I first came on, I probably would have been shouted at quite a bit. But no, I mean, it's inevitable that it was going to be on the car. And to be honest, once we saw it in testing, once we saw those liveries first come out, I mean, a lot of the teams did a really good job of blending it in with the car. I was a little bit funny about maybe not seeing driver helmets. I know that's a funny thing I quite like in Formula One for some weird reason. But no, I think, especially after Spa with Charles Leclerc's accident, I mean, I think a lot of the controversy seemed to vanish, which was quite nice for us pro Halo people. We can finally talk about it. But no, over the season, maybe at the beginning of the season, I was pro Halo, but now, yeah, I'm 100% for the Halo.
What about you, John? Has your opinion changed at all?
Not really. I've always been pro improved safety, no matter what it is, and head safety was obviously something that had to be addressed thanks to the likes of Henry Surtees and Justin Wilson. I didn't like the way it looked, and I still think there's issues with it because it doesn't stop the small pieces. We've had it this year where I think it was Gasly reporting about large pieces of carbon fiber hitting him in the visor, who's got quite nervous about. But Spa certainly silenced any anti-Halo people because the results from all the analysis of the crash have proved you would have been hit in the head by something traveling at 30 miles an hour from the side. No amount of argument can say that saved his life. End of story.
Yeah. I can't disagree with it. I mean, it's a good. There are issues with it. We saw with Hulkenberg in Abu Dhabi not being able to get out of the car quickly, but we don't often see an F1 car on its roof. But it is still going to be a concern for people. The little bits of debris as well. But ultimately, it's a good first step. And the FIA said pretty much from day one that it was something that was going to be developed over time and would get better, would look better. And we've already seen some of them concepts for, was it 2021 that we saw a couple of months back now that looked incredible. The Halo looks so much better with all the curves on it and incorporated a bit better. So I think, yeah, I think it's all right. It's not the prettiest thing, but it's important. It's done its job this season at least once. Some might argue a couple of times with the incident in F2. So I don't think we can really argue too much about it. Scuderia D says, you think Stroll will deliver Force Canada next year? I think he'll be all right. I think he'll be fine. They need a driver who can deliver some consistent points. If they give him a good car, he'll be able to do that and can be a solid midfield driver, which, to be honest, Dan, is all Racing Point need him to be, is a good midfield driver.
Yeah, I think he's a driver as well that he definitely deserves a little bit more credit. I think he's a lot better than people say he is. Obviously there's the big joke and the big meme about his daddy's money, and that is obviously an issue. And I think as well, I don't think he would have got this Racing Point seat if his dad didn't own the team now. But that being said, I don't think he's an awful driver. And I think actually this year, in a difficult car, he's proved himself that maybe he does deserve a chance. And I'm looking forward to seeing him there because I do think he'll be much closer to Sergio Perez than people think.
What do you reckon, Jonty? I know people think that we've been paid off by the Strolls. I mean, I'm coming to you live from my second yacht. So, there you go. But I think he'll be all right, won't he, at Force India next year or whatever they're going to be called?
Yeah, I think he's going to do really well. Here we go. Jonty's Christmas predictions. You got a pen ready? Stick my neck out and say qualifying battle will be 12-9 to Perez.
So that'd be all right. If he's within striking distance of Perez with all that experience, I don't think it'll be too bad. But ultimately, so long as Lawrence Stroll owns that team, if he owns it forever, Sergio Perez, Lance Stroll is in Formula One for at least the next 20 years, isn't he? So
yeah, exactly.
Not much point in getting too frustrated about it. I did see a good one. Jesse Jackson. Will we see Williams' resurgence next year? We need to. We need to. Maybe a little bit of British bias in there again, but it'd be great to see them up there. Same with McLaren. I'd love to see both of them make their way through the field. I think they've got a good mix of drivers in terms of experience and youth with Kubica and Russell. I think Kubica is going to do okay. I'm not expecting him to be. A few people think he's going to come in and just deliver instantly. He's going to need some time. It's been a long time since he's been racing in F1. But I think he'll be all right as the season goes on. Same with Russell. Honestly, John T, it's going to sound dreadful, but they can't be any bloody worse, can they?
Well, no, exactly. I mean, they've been so bad this year. They freely admitted themselves that they got it completely wrong as far back as, was that Spain?
Yeah.
They announced they'd just given up on the car and were focusing on 2019. Quite how they were focusing on 2019 before the aero changes were announced, I don't know. But they've got to do better. I'm hoping and praying that both Williams and McLaren just get some little design that makes everything brilliant, takes them right back up to the front, so we have at least a 5-way fight. That would be amazing.
It's interesting you say that, actually, because switching to 2019, switching that focus early, that could really pay off next year.
Well, it's happened before, and Williams have been people to do it before. Admittedly, very different times, but back in the 80s, Williams dropped the turbo engines a good 2 years before the ban. And then when the ban came in, bang, Williams right at the top.
Yeah. I think they'll be fine. They're going to... What's a successful year? That's 7th, maybe, but it's just going to be so close. If they make a step forward and McLaren make a step forward and Toro Rosso aren't being used as a test team and they can get on with what they want to do, we could end up in a situation where, maybe I'm dreaming a little bit, but where we've got maybe, 7 teams fighting for 4th place, potentially, if everybody makes a step up that they should be capable of doing. So it's a big call, but I think Williams, with the experience they've got, the money that's there with the extra investment, let's put it that way, I think they'll do all right. And of course, Paddy Lowe gets a first proper crack at that car. We don't know how much influence he had on the 2018 car. He'd have had some very good say, but we don't know when he came in how much of that car was ready to go. So yeah, it could be interesting. We'll make a couple more before we go to a moment that hit me right in the feels when I did it. Not going to lie about that one. How will Gasly compare to Verstappen, says Toothbrush? What do you reckon, Dan? I think Red Bull said, was it yesterday or possibly Friday, that they were looking to put more focus on Verstappen in the team. So he's very much coming in as a number 2. So it doesn't really matter how he compares to Verstappen from a Red Bull perspective, so long as he's there behind him to back him up.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be completely miles away from Max Verstappen. I think Gasly's a solid driver. I don't think it'll be a 2014 situation when Ricciardo went to Red Bull and all of a sudden was beating Sebastian Vettel. I don't think it'll be a big surprise like that, but I think he'll be thereabouts. I expect to see him on the podium at least once. Maybe, again, like I said earlier, if there's a really crazy race going on, he could pick up a win. But obviously, Formula One over the winter have been putting up all these things about which of the new drivers at the top teams is going to get their first win. And I think it's going to be a real crazy shout to say Gasly's going to be anywhere near the title or near a confident win just with the car and his driving. So, no, I expect Verstappen to be number 1, but I think Gasly's a solid, I wouldn't go as far as wingman, but a solid number 2.
Do you agree, John T?
Yeah, I mean, like you say, it's not going to be the big dramatic shock, but he's certainly going to be performing well. We've seen this year how he can really keep pace with other people that are in superior cars. You mentioned earlier Bahrain, where that was an incredible drive considering the pace differential, and there wasn't that much crazy stuff going on, with regard to safety cars and whatnot. So that was on, raw speed. Again, Max will beat him, but it won't be by the massive margin some people think.
No, Gasly's a good driver. He's a good driver and he's proven himself this year. One more before we go to this other video that I want to show you. It comes from, I think it's Eff's Jens. Sorry if I've messed that up, mate. It says, which driver would make a good Santa? Well, obviously Grosjean from Dan's perspective, seeing as he's got a sexy beard and is a handsome fellow, apparently. Do you regret saying that, mate? It's in your argument. But yeah, would you say, are you going Grosjean then?
I mean, you've put the words in my mouth, so can I really back out of it? Yeah, I'll go. I'll actually go Kevin Magnussen. I think Magnussen's a better Father Christmas. than Roman, but Roman can be his little elf, so that'll do.
Okay. Johnson?
I'm not sure. Certainly no one on the current grid. You'd have to go back in the past, because I don't think there's anyone on the grid right now who has that kind of feel to them. Although maybe Perez, because he did give a big gift to all the staff for the team.
Yeah, I'd go Stroll because he's got the money. So you're going to get some pretty awesome presents. There you go. You'd make a really good Santa. But yes, 2018 has been a great year in Formula One, but we have lost a number of drivers this year that will be leaving the grid. And it's going to be very sad to say very, very big goodbye to an absolute legend. In 2017, the F1 Word Discord server was launched and almost immediately began to fill with people. As time went on, the server turned into a place full of fun and banter and digs at certain drivers on the F1 grid. One of those was Marcus Ericsson. Jokes about his speed, his pay driver status and form were thrown around constantly until one day, something miraculous happened. All of a sudden, people began to warm to Marcus, almost developing a liking for him. Eventually, that turned into so much more, and the once ridiculed Swede became the Discord server mascot, and eventually went on to be crowned King Marcus of Ericsson. As the 2018 season got underway, it was clear that King Marcus had a great opportunity to perhaps, just perhaps, score a point or two. And just 2 races into the new season, that dream came true, and the community erupted as the King took 2 points in Bahrain. Points finishes in Austria, Germany and Belgium led to more scenes of celebration. King Marcus had finally found form. However, on the horizon, clouds began to gather. Ferrari decided to move Charles Leclerc to their team for 2019, with Kimi Raikkonen filling one of the seats at Sauber. This led to concern across Discord. Could the man really find himself without a race seat? Sadly, yes, as Antonio Giovinazzi was confirmed alongside Kimi for 2019. King Marcus was out in the cold. A saviour stood on the horizon and he was given a chance in IndyCar for next year, but that would not be enough to save his status as king. The Swede gave his fans more to cheer with points finishes in Austin and Mexico, but as he walked away from F1 after Abu Dhabi, there was a twinge of sadness. A man who was once seen as a go-to driver for ridicule had become a favourite within the F1 World community. It may have started as a joke, but the server took him to their hearts, and I for one will miss him in 2019. Goodbye, King Marcus, and thank you. However, as the King exits, a new mascot must rise. A combination of the ridicule levelled at him, almost on a par with that levelled at Ericsson, and his father's checks clearing on time, has led to Lance Stroll taking the throne. For 2019, Prince Lance of Stroll will lead the F1 Word Discord server, but I'm sure the story won't end there. Yes, sad times over on Discord. It all started, Dan, to be honest, as a bit of a joke, as I said in that little video there, but I didn't half warm to him. We do like Marcus Ericsson, don't we?
I will say I'm a little bit choked. You know, that brought a tear to my eye there. He's going to be missed. What a lovely guy on the grid. And, you know, a little bit like Kimi, he had that sort of blank personality, but in some sort of crazy way was actually a real nice spin on the Formula One personalities we have in the grid. So a nice guy. And I think a lot of us thought as well he was going to be able to keep his seat for next season. So a little bit of a shock, and it looks unlikely, but I think a lot of us would like to see him back on the grid in the future. And yeah, being the Discord mascot definitely, I think, earned him a lot more fans. So yeah, he will be missed, and we want to see him back.
Definitely. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing him in IndyCar. I'm not gonna lie. I'm going to be watching a lot more of IndyCar this coming season with Alonso there and Ericsson. But he might just have a better car to go for it. Maybe win. Could you imagine the scenes if he won a race?
That'd be mega. That would be absolutely mega. Yeah, IndyCar. All of a sudden, I haven't really had much interest in it before, but now adding these names, it's gonna be juicy. So if he could win the Indy 500, my God, that would be amazing.
Oh yeah, that would be so cool. There is a kind of a nice element going to IndyCar because he's actually filling in the seat for Robert Wickens at Schmidt Peterson. So our mascot goes and raises someone else's spirits a bit.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's he will be missed in the server. I'm sure there'll be a few people that think it's a bit ridiculous, but yeah, they do like him over there. A bit of a mascot. So let's take a couple more of your questions. Victor Ernst says, which driver will be under the most pressure in 2019? I'm going to go straight in there and maybe put my neck on the line a little bit, but I think Sebastian Vettel. After this year, he's got to go in, and he can't make the number of mistakes he's made in 2018. If Ferrari turn up to testing with a half-decent car that's anywhere near as close to the Mercedes or ahead of the Mercedes as it was in 2018, he just can't be making mistakes. He's got to get it right next year. So I'm going to go Vettel, Jonty.
That's where I was going to go, to be quite honest. After this year, and last year to some extent, the pressure is all on him, and we know how Ferrari are very cutthroat in the way that they will deal with drivers if they're not performing. They've got no bones about just cutting someone loose if they're really not living up to the expectations the team has got. So he's really online, and as I just mentioned in the chat, Bottas as well. His performance this year. If he was to carry on at the start of next year performing the same as this year, I think we could see a top team changing driver mid-season.
Oh, is that one of your bold predictions, Jonty? I like that.
Yeah, you could call it that. Well, think about it this way. Both you, Sean, and Dan. If you were Mercedes team principal and Bottas was still performing at the start of this year the way he has for the start of next year, the way he has the second half of this year, would you keep him on?
It's the biggest problem for Bottas. The biggest problem for Bottas is Esteban Ocon. If he'd got a seat, Bottas will probably be 100% safe for the whole of next season. But with Ocon sat in the wings just waiting, he can't be making those mistakes. So based on his performances up to when he renewed his contract, I would have re-signed him. Since then, not a cat in hell's chance. What do you reckon,
exactly.
Dan?
It's a tough one. I do like Valtteri. I do. He's going to be under a lot of pressure. I think chat's going crazy saying Valtteri. So, yeah, he's going to be definitely one to keep an eye on across the season. I think he will keep his seat. But that being said, you're looking at the limited seats that Esteban Ocon could go for. It's going to be a real difficult one for Toto to squeeze him in anywhere, because you'd like to think Williams were going to want to keep Russell and Kubica in that team. So it's going to be a fun one, especially during the summer. But Owen Lassett put in the chat, and, I've got to agree with him. I think my boy Roman is under a lot of pressure. The amount of penalty points he's got, there could be a race ban. There could, which pains me to say. I know not a lot of people are going to say Roman because, you all respect me, and I appreciate that. You don't want to hurt my feelings. But no, if he performs the beginning of the next season, like the beginning of the last season, he could be on the way out, which, would sadden me a lot, but it wasn't good enough. And I hope he can keep his form that he had at the end of the season.
I think sort of going back onto the Bottas thing and pondering it a little bit more, just as Dan was talking there, I suppose it depends on what position Mercedes are in. If Mercedes find themselves a fair way off Ferrari, and the reason they are is because Bottas is making mistakes, then I could see them gambling and putting somebody else in that car and replacing him. But if they're leading the constructors comfortably and they're going to cruise to both titles, then they don't really need to change him, do they?
No, not really. No, again, it's going to be a close one, but I think that's definitely the key there. Where is Mercedes going to be in that constructors?
Yeah, definitely. Sticking with Bottas, Rick says, in your opinion, do you think Bottas is slated too much by the community? I think he was prior to, again, his contract signing, but I think maybe he's had a little bit too much. I think he's probably had a little bit too much, but I think that's probably, with all due respect to people watching, I think that's generally the F1 community on social media, unfortunately. But I think he deserves a lot of the criticism he's got. Maybe people are going too far, like I say, but I think he deserves it for his second half of the season. But then, as I've said, me and Jonty have had a few chats about this before on stream. I'm going to say this, and I know exactly what his response will be to it, but I'm going to say it anyway. If a team kicks you in the way that Mercedes did and made you the wingman, then you can kind of understand why he's a bit flat and downbeat. But I'll let you have your comeback, Jonty, because I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, it's the same thing I'll come back to. I mean, yeah, fair play to him. He's got 2 races where team orders have really impacted, with the one very clear get out of the way. But those are pretty much the only 2 races where he's been in a position to be used as a wingman. The other ones, he's been of no use to the team as a number 2. So, why would they use him?
Yeah, I'll tell you what I'm going to do, actually. I'm going to read some, because I've just seen another one coming, just some super chats coming in. Thank you very much to everyone for your contributions. Really do appreciate them. Let's see what we've got. So I'll read I'll go from read them in order. Andras, once again, with a contribution. Thank you very much, mate. Says, Merry Christmas to you all fine folks. Eggy, thank you very much, mate. Has donated as well. Thank you for that. Says, Merry Christmas, Sean. And Justin says, I'm not going to lie, we did actually see your comment earlier, but he says, if Grosjean retires, can they scrap the Halo? Dan.
It's very disrespectful. All this hate for Roman. I'll let you all do it now. But over the winter and over this festive period, I think we all need to reflect. This guy has feelings, and I have feelings as well. So next year, let's calm down on the Grosjean hate. All right, that's probably going to cause more hate. So I'll just leave that there.
I'm gonna give you some more Grosjean grief. Chaz says, just how amazing and great is Romain Grosjean? ?
He's the best of all time, isn't he? I mean, come on. I mean, you heard earlier, I was it's too much, man. I can't. It feels like a 24-hour job, this does, defending Romain Grosjean. It really does. He's better than you all think, all right? He's okay. He's all right, my Grosjean. He's not the best, but he's a solid midfield driver. Okay, there's my honest opinion.
There you go. That was actually a question echoed as well by Daniel Philpott over on Twitter. Said, why is Romain Grosjean the best on the grid? And you've just kind of said that. But I'm going to ask a couple of questions now. First one is from Andrew Drury on Twitter. Says, what will the 2018 season be remembered for? Coming to you first. Jonty, why not?
It will be remembered for some good things. Hamilton's insanely good consistency and the way he just kept himself right at the top of his performance all the time. Vettel's meltdown, but it'll also be remembered. That wasn't a good thing in itself. It was good for the title fight. But there was some. I think there'll be a lot of remembrance for some of the bad things, unfortunately. Alonso's bitterness and Force India very much.
Yeah. Dan, what do you reckon? How will 2018 be remembered for you?
I'm going to go a bit left field here, and I'm going to say it's going to be remembered as the year George Russell came into the sport. I really do. I think he's going to be as good as Leclerc. I do, and I think that Williams is going to be probably as good as the Sauber was this year, and I think he's going to put out some crazy results. So I'm going to go for that.
Well, that's
Merry Christmas.
Steady, Dan.
I was going to say it's very nice, but the question was about 2018.
I was about 2018. Oh, sorry. How would 2018 be remembered? I apologize. I'm getting my years wrong, everybody. There you go. The year of Charles Leclerc. I'll go for that then. I really do think he's been that good this year. He really has. So, yeah, we'll go for that.
But George Russell's knocking him off his pedestal next year.
Yeah, next year. Yeah.
There you go.
Actually, I've just thought of another one. One thing that will stick around, certainly in social media now, is Kimi becoming the absolute meme king.
Yes.
We're going to be seeing drunk Kimi for years.
That was some funny stuff. But for me, 2018, it probably should be remembered for the positives. Lewis Hamilton's 5th world title, fantastic from the summer break onwards. Max Verstappen's incredible turnaround when you consider his first 6 races. But I've got a feeling that this season is going to be remembered for the Vettel mistakes, unfortunately, which is a shame because I think there were some very good performances out there. But yeah, you can kind of understand why, because some of them were title-defining mistakes, so I can kind of get that to a point. Let's see. One more question from chat before I do the next thing. Under Kimi and Alfa Romeo, do you think Sauber can compete for best of the rest in 2019? That comes from Playlister. They've got a chance. If you look at how they developed over the course of 2018, and if you look at the fact they've then got that experience of Kimi on top of that, and then the funding from Alfa, you'd be hard pushed not to see them at least in the fight, Dan.
Yeah. I mean, we say this all the time. It's going to be so close in the midfield next year. It is a little bit mind-boggling, to be honest. But yeah, I think they've got a solid lineup. I don't think it's the best in the midfield. I think Renault definitely have the strongest one there, but it's going to be a good fight. And like you say, you see the strides they've made this year. Next year, they're going to only get better. So for sure, let's throw it out there and say, yeah, they can be fine for that 4th.
What do you reckon, John T? Can they go for 4th, or what were they? 8th in the end, weren't they? So a few steps to take forward to get there.
Yeah, but I mean, if they keep this sort of the rate of progression that they've had this year going, then they're going to start 2019 comfortably competing for Q3 all the time. And say maybe by Singapore, Russia, they're going to be in that usual Force India position of snapping up any scrap podium that could come from any mistakes at the front.
Yeah, absolutely. The F1 report says this could be stupid, but I believe we will have a crazy race like Singapore and Kimi will get a podium. This is the thing. You get a mad race like we've had in the past. I always throw out Monaco 96 as an example. Nürburgring 99 is another one. Get a crazy race. Perez, Stroll, Kimi in that Sauber, maybe Hulkenberg gets a podium as well. Anything can happen in Formula 1. I'm just trying to think if we've had anything recently now. I've got my little thinking head on now, thinking back to all the good times, the good old days when we had these crazy races. But maybe Baku last year would be rated up there with Stroll getting that podium, Ricciardo winning it. But I think it would need to be a crazy race to see Kimi get a podium. Maybe I'm being harsh, John T. I don't know.
No, definitely would need a crazy race. But we've seen them in the past. We've seen them not that long ago. Look at Canada 2011. No one had a clue what was going to happen in that race.
No.
That anyone could have won that, literally. And go back further, look at Monaco 96. You get a good downpour rain at Monaco. Literally anything can happen. Panis won the race by simply not crashing.
Yeah, absolutely sums that up. And that's one of the big underdog wins, I suppose, looking back. But I've got something else for you. It is again going to be sandwiched between a couple of Kimi's haikus, because I got the book this week and it's hilarious. It's hilarious. I highly recommend it. I think Dan got one as well, didn't you, Dan?
I did. Yeah, great. Great purchase.
It's a little bit weird, but yes, so sandwiched between these two haikus is yet another example that things don't always go to plan on the F1 word. Kimi's haiku's number 12, excitement. Race situations, but it lasts for some seconds and it goes away. Engage YouTube voice. We've all got one, don't deny it.
I don't know how carried away I'll get, all.
Honestly, I think we'll both be quite short on what we say about Lewis Hamilton through fear that we're going to get, typical British bias. We'll probably say too much about Max Verstappen through fear that we're going to get accused of hate, and then Charles Leclerc will just basically lick his backside for 10 minutes and then go, we need to do that again, that was too long. Hulkenberg, quickly!
Hulkenberg, oh my god, there's more nominees.
Once we had done a stap, and I'll hold my hands up, perhaps a rare bit of British bias here from me, but it is great, in my opinion, to see 3 bits He does arrive in Japan off the back of 2 very stellar drives, and the Dutchman has gone well.
The biggest talking point for me, or missed talking point, was the weather. It did play its part in the race. I just wish it had come sooner. We saw images just minutes afterwards and during the podium cemetery. Podium cemetery.
That's a morbid one, isn't it? Christmas outtakes. Ahead of this weekend's Grand Prix, Lewis Hamilton has said that he believes he is driving better than... Water. Drink. Quick before the PC blows up. Here we go.
And as well, definitely the best man in qualifying all year. Oh, shit.
And yes, I'll hold my hands up and perhaps...
We saw during the podium ceremony. Fuck's sake!
Oh, what?
I'm getting it this time.
You're supposed to be the composed one, Jonty. This is not good enough.
I think you're right. Probably around that Singapore, Russia time. Probably. Yeah, they could have had it wrapped up, but... Oh, shit! Ah,
Daniel! Swearing. The tyres available for this weekend are the medium, the soft, and the super soft, with the medium and the soft being the mandatory tyre for the mandatory. I can't say mandatory. Mandatory. Ceremony, not cemetery.
Yes.
If it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I love him.
If they'd have picked up some points earlier on in the year, yeah, probably they could have done it then. But they did wrap it up in the end in Brazil with a race to spare. So, yeah. No. Oh, my God. Oh, I can't do it. Why do I keep trying to say more?
And yes, I will hold my hands up and perhaps a rare Brit. And yes, I will hold my hand. And yes, I can't even say it. What?
Brilliant job from the team. Once again, thoroughly deserved. Really impressed with Mercedes once again this year, which shouldn't come as a surprise anymore. Yes! Sorry. Yes.
We got it.
It's done. See you later, mate. I'm
That's
off.
it. Everyone can go home. We're done. Finished for the day. Everyone pack up. Done. Fantastic. Kimi's Haiku's number 8, Finland. In summer, there's fishing. In winter, the fishing is bad. I try to keep things as professional as I can, but obviously I've got Jonty and Dan giggling in my ear. But it's absolutely terrible. I hope you enjoyed those ones. Just a few of the times that things went a little bit wrong, and it was nice to give Jonty and Dan some stick for a change. I say Dan some stick for a change. I'm always giving Dan stick. But yeah, podium cemetery, Jonty, really?
Yeah, that's not going away. Oh, I'm doing it now! Oh, God. That's not going away anytime soon, is it?
No, you're stuck with it now, mate. You're stuck with it. Dan, what's your language, mate? Shocking.
Yeah, I'll try my best. I don't remember saying that. I think you've done some sort of auto-tune there. That wasn't me. I'd never swear. No.
Yeah, of course you wouldn't. Let's take a few more questions there before we disappear. I have got one more haiku to play, but I'll stick that at the end of the stream. For those that are interested, let's have a look through the Twitter stuff that I wrote down earlier. I can't say names, so I'm sorry. Any fan boost in F1, Dan? You love fan boost in FE, so surely bring that to Formula 1. It'd be brilliant, wouldn't it?
I don't think so. And I don't think, just for the record, I don't like fan boost in FE. All right, it's not been there long enough, so we can't have, an opinion. But thinking about it, we'd see some brilliant graphics. We'd see some Mario boosts on the floor. So, bringing it back to earlier, that'd be fun, wouldn't it?
No. If you could add one rule in Formula 1, what would you change? Asks Jeff. What do you reckon, Jonty? A few bits I'd like to change, but I think a few of the things I'd like to change, most notably DRS, are dependent on other rules having to change to give us some sort of overtaking.
Yeah, and everything's going to be geared toward that. But honestly, I would keep a hypersoft, the super soft, and the hard, bin all the rest. So you've only got those 3 compounds, and give the teams completely free choice. Use whatever you want, whenever you want.
Don't you mean the C9, the C83, the C4? Yeah. Yeah, why not? I like that one. What about you, Dan? Have you got anything you'd change?
Do I be brave at Christmas time? Why not? I'm not the biggest fan of the virtual safety car. I know why they put it in, but part of me still thinks I'd love maybe a couple of laps with virtual safety car and then do a normal full fat safety car. That's what I love in Formula One. So that's the one for me. That's always sort of stood out a little bit. I'm not a big fan of.
Why would you do a couple of laps on the virtual safety car and then go to safety car? Surely just go straight to safety car.
Yeah, but I'm thinking the original reason why they put
Oh,
in
okay.
the safety car, if you get what I
Yeah.
mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, on that one, I think I'd have it more like FE, where when it goes to virtual safety car, all cars immediately have the pit lane limiter activated by race control. So everyone's at exactly the same time and everyone is doing exactly the same speed. No one loses a thing. And it completely makes it completely safe. Because even at the 40% increased lap time, that's still quick enough to go off if it's particularly wet.
Yeah. Fair point. I'm just going to try and fly through a few of these questions. Mario Master 02, Norris, Russell, or Albon next year? Who's going to beat who or whom? I guess that's all down to the car. I think. Oh, that's really tough. Wow, I shouldn't have asked that question. I should only ask questions that I can answer. I would probably. Who's best placed out of those three? Toro Rosso, if everything goes fine for Red Bull and Honda and they're allowed to get on with it next year and not turn back into a test team, then he could be sat quite pretty if Honda deliver a good engine. Russell and Norris, they're unknown entities when it comes to Formula One as drivers, but also we just don't know, do we, with McLaren and Williams? If they both turn up again and have shocking seasons, it doesn't bode well for Norris or Russell's career. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh and a bit downbeat there, Jonty, but we've seen in the past with drivers that go to a team like a McLaren or Williams, or I don't know, I'll try to think of examples, maybe further back to a Ligier, for example, or somebody like that, where they go to a team, bit of hype behind them, but that team doesn't really deliver the car and they kind of just disappear.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, it depends on what the teams come rocking up with. If things are as they stand, then it's clearly going to be Albon, Norris, Russell. But like I say, if Williams, McLaren come up with something good, it can be completely reversed. There's so much hanging on the new chassis for Williams and McLaren next year.
What do you reckon, Dan? I know you've said you're quite optimistic for Russell next year.
Yeah, Russell. I seem to quite like George Russell. He's becoming one of my favourites. So I'm feeling positive about Williams, mainly because, like you said earlier, they can't get much worse than this year. Or at least I'm saying that now. I might be proved wrong by the time we get to Australia. But no, I think obviously it's going to be a complete roll of the dice in this order. And going off driver skill, we know in Formula One that's never a good metric to use. But if I was going to put money on it now, I would go Russell, Norris, Albon, the complete opposite to John T.
Yeah, cool. The F1 report says, Sean, when did the virtual safety car get added? 2016? Was it 2016?
I think it was 2016.
It was 2014, no, because obviously Bianchi. And then Bianchi passed away in 2015. I seem to remember it being tested throughout 2015 in practice.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Owen Wyatt says 2015 in chat. It could be 2015 because it was. I might have to Google that.
I think it did come in part way through the season, so it could well have been 2015. So I can remember it being done in the F2 and it causing complete chaos because no one knew how to restart the race.
Yes, yeah, you're right, yeah. And a few in chat as well saying 2015. Yes, absolutely, because Hamilton lost the race in Monaco due to it, as Kaylin just said in chat. Yes, it will have been. There we go, 2015. Answers that one. I've got a question I do want to answer, and I kind of like Jonty to have his say on it as well, and Dan is more than welcome to too. It came from Patrick at Nearly Weekend. We're well into the weekend now, mate. Says, what's your favourite video you made this year? This took me ages to come up with an answer for, and the obvious one to go for would be that Lewis Hamilton one. The Why Is He So Hated video. Biggest performer on the channel by a mile. I think it's still now a year on is outperforming newer videos on the channel. So 600k on there, loads of response. It was a bit polarizing. People didn't like the fact that I dared to have an honest and frank opinion on it. But there we go. That's the F1 word for you. So whatever. It's the way I want to go with that one. But I really enjoyed making that video and I loved the response to it. But I might surprise a few people, but the video I most enjoyed making for 2018 was the Curious Case of Nico Hulkenberg. I loved the effort that went into that, just the research, the getting my opinion out there on it. I really enjoyed making that video. I don't know if you've got a favourite from this year, Jonty, or a favourite stream you've been involved in? Apart from this one, obviously.
Well, yeah, this one's always going to be ranked really high. I did like the 50k one. That was a lot of fun. But as actual videos go, I mean, don't get as involved with them. I wouldn't say I enjoyed the Imola video, but I was very, very proud of it.
Yeah.
The frank and openness, and there were so many people who watched and commented on it because they had they hadn't heard the human side of what people had witnessed when that happened. I think it was good to be able to get people to see that, or at least give them the chance to listen to it.
Yeah, it did well as well. It was well received, so that's quite an important one. But I love doing the Hulkenberg one. I don't know why. What about you, Dan? Your favourite stream you've been involved in so far? Not Formula E. That needs to go on another channel, mate.
Yeah, well, I've not been here that long, so there's not that many to choose from. Really enjoyed the Halloween one. That was something really different. But I think my favourite one was probably the end of season one, where it was us three and Chain Bear as well. Just having the four of us all different opinions, that was a little bit different as well. So yeah, I think that one's the one for me. Although this one tonight has been a lot of fun as well, and a lot of laughs behind the scenes.
Awesome stuff. Yeah, it was good. That was a good stream. I enjoyed that one.
I forgot about Halloween.
Yeah, Halloween. Yeah, that was weird.
Just made me remember Miami.
Oh, the 80s stream.
That was great.
The Miami Vice style stream. Yeah, I need to do another one of those. That was mad. We might do one in the winter just for the fun of it. Why not? I enjoyed that one. Well, for a couple more questions. I did have a couple more on Twitter, but I think what I'll do is I'll take some from chat. So you can pop some questions in chat, guys. That would be awesome. Playlister says, with the progress they've had, do you think Renault can get the third Constructors' Championship spot next year? I don't. I think they'll be closer. I can see them being close to the top three, but I don't think Red Bull are going to be as bad as people are expecting them to be under Honda. So no, but they'll be closer for me. Jonty?
No, I don't think they can. It's going to be very, very difficult for them to do that because even if they're having some reliability issues, Red Bull will still be taking a sizable chunk of points when they don't have problems.
Yeah. Mario Master 02, can you compare Sainz and Gasly? What do we reckon, Dan? That's a tough one. I'm going to say this again, actually. I've got it in a video that comes out next Saturday, which is all done and dusted, a stat roundup for the season. Sainz was not as bad as I've been slating him for this season. He's not been brilliant, and he was a long way off his teammate and shouldn't have been a long way off his teammate, but he actually, yes, screw it, spoiler alert, 13 points finishes, the most of anybody outside the top 6 drivers. So actually, that's not a bad season, Dan, from Carlos Sainz, but I'd lean towards Gasly because it was his first full season, and I kind of expected more from Sainz, even though he wasn't as bad as I thought he had been, if that makes sense. Yeah,
I think that's a fair rationale. You know, he's definitely gone under the radar this season. He was someone who, well, at the beginning of the year when we knew he was going to have a full season with Renault, I thought, yeah, he's going to be right up there with Hulkenberg, and maybe if, again, there's a crazy race, he could maybe fluke a podium, but at no point really this year did that ever look likely whatsoever. Even in Baku, I think he retired about halfway through the race, and that was maybe a race where he was looking like he might have something special going on. But comparing to Gasly, if I was a team boss, I'd go with Sainz just because of that experience he brings, but it's definitely a close one. But on the same side of things, part of me thinks Sainz and Verstappen's relationship at Red Bull have still made the right call. So it's a close one between the two of them, but like I say, I think I'd just probably go with Sainz.
Right, I've picked out 2 questions from chat. I've got room for one more. So if you've got one, pop it in chat now and I'll try and get it. But will only be one more after these 2. and I've just lost the one I was after. I've lost the name, unfortunately, but it was... There it is. Owen says, Hulk or Danny Rick next season? Who's going to be topping that fight? I think it's the teammate battle outside of the top, maybe outside of Ferrari, that I'm really looking forward to next year. Danny Rick and Hulkenberg, John T. I think that's going to be really good and really, really close. And I think that could put Renault in a very nice position and help them get a bit close to Red Bull. But I'm going to stick my neck right on the line, and I'm going to say Hulkenberg because I want to be controversial. What about you, John T?
I don't think it's going to be that tight, unfortunately. I really do like Hulkenberg, but I think Danny Rick's just far superior to him, both in one lap pace and race pace and overtaking ability. I don't think it's going to be that close at all. But thankfully, because of their attitudes, I don't think we're going to get any of the silly incidents that we've seen at Red Bull.
That's true. What do you reckon, Dan? Hulkenberg or Danny Rick?
See, I disagree with John T in the fact that it's going to be far apart. I think they're going to be almost nip and tuck, and I think it's going to be closer than a lot of people think. But I will go on the side of Danny Rick. I do think he just has that edge, even though Hulkenberg's had a couple of years with the team now. Just those last-minute lunges that Ricciardo's able to do, so spicy, and that's going to be the edge.
Penultimate question then comes from Ben McCarthy. Apart from Senna, your favourite F1 helmet ever? Dan, you can't pick Grosjean.
Oh, I was gonna say Grosjean 2012.
It's a nice helmet, actually, to be fair. That is a nice helmet.
Kovalainen's Angry Birds one.
That was a good one.
Yeah, I love
give me
the
a minute.
Birds.
That's a tough question. Again, I've got to ask a question I can't really answer straight away. What do you reckon then, Dan? Your favourite helmet of all time, apart from Senna, Grosjean, and I'm going to say Angry Birds as well. Really put you on the spot.
I actually really like Häkkinen's design with the white and the different shades of blue. I don't know why, but that's the one that's really speaking out to me at this current moment in time. I'm sure there's loads I'm skipping over, but no, that's the one that I've always quite liked.
John T?
John Watson. When he had the helmet where there was an extra line, it was two individual eyes instead of one big open visor slot. It just looked cool.
Yeah. I was going to give a Schumacher one, but I probably shouldn't because I not because I was a fanboy, but I loved the red Ferrari one he had. I loved that helmet. But in terms of best of all time, currently on the grid, I love Vettel's helmet. Take that how you will. I love his crash helmet. I think I do like that one. I like Hamilton's yellow one as well. Was quite good from his earlier days in F1. But I've always been a big fan of Fernando Alonso's helmet from 2005 with the blue and the yellow on there.
Yeah, that's nice.
I'm struggling for all time. I'm really struggling for all time.
I could throw out an honorary mention because it's not driver, but the entire Red Bull pit crew when they had the Star Wars sponsored race because they were all stormtroopers and it was amazing.
Yes, absolutely. That was good stuff. That was good stuff. I think Häkkinen's helmet I'd probably agree with as well. But yeah, there's just so many. I might dig a little deeper and pop that on Twitter at the end of the Christmas period. I did see a final question I'm going to go for. And it does come from Playlister. And he says, if you had one wish, what would you want to happen in the 2019 season? A great question to end on. I would like to see Leclerc or Verstappen win the title. If I had one wish, I'd pick one of those to win the title.
That is not what I thought you would say. I thought you were going to say the exact same thing as me. That's for Williams and McLaren to rock up with a car at least as quick as Red Bull.
That'd be so good. What about you, Dan? One wish, mate, for 2019.
One.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
I mean, everyone knows what I'm going to say. Part of me says, a Vettel and Grosjean little swap seats would be nice. I'm going to go with the Kubica podium, though. I think that links
be
into
good.
Jonty's a little bit. Yeah, that would be
that's nice.
a really nice end to the story. Well, not even end to the story, but really nice comeback. So that'd be my little Christmas wish.
I thought you were going to say Grosjean gets through 21 races without crash.
Well, I did consider that. I did consider not getting a race ban, so
it's
we'll have to wait and see.
Surely even wishes have got to be somewhat realistic. I mean, come on. But yes, we're sort of going to leave it there. I am going to play you another haiku before I go to the end screen. But that's going to be it from Dan and Jonty. Thank you very much, Dan, for coming along this evening. It's been a lot of fun answering some questions and some random funny stuff as well. I guess best thing to say, mate, is Merry Christmas. Hope you have a really, really good one.
Oh, cheers, man. Merry Christmas to you as well, and Jonty, and the stream. It's been a lot of fun, a lot of laughs, and at the end of the day, that's the whole reason we do these streams. So it's been a lot of fun. Thank you.
Absolutely. And thank you as well for all your help over the last few weeks and months as well, Dan. It's been a pleasure having you on the F1 Word stream team. So looking forward to 2019. And Jonty, as always, mate, thank you for everything you do for the channel and for me behind the scenes. It's I really do appreciate all of it. And I hope you have an awesome Christmas as well.
Yeah, and you and everyone in the chat. You know, it's just different this year, and I'm actually excited, which is really, really bizarre. I quite like it. So look forward to this being even better next year. And only, what have we got? 7 weeks to launches?
It's not long. It's not long. I'm getting a bit too excited now.
Yeah, what do you reckon? Live every day for the launch.
Don't put me on the spot like that, Jonty. That terrifies me. But yeah, thank you very much, guys, and I will inevitably talk to you shortly. And Merry Christmas to both of you.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, guys.
Cheers. See you later.
Good stuff. Thank you very much to Jonty and to Dan. I'm just going to very quickly throw you to the final of Kimmy's haiku, and then I'll do the usual F1 words sign out. Kimmy's haiku's number 5. Better half. Championships are won in the first half of the season, not just the second half. There we go then. We'll try that one again. There we go then. That is it for the Christmas stream. And also, sad times, peeps. That is the last stream of the year that is guaranteed. I'll see how I feel next Sunday. I might go live just randomly, but this is the last guaranteed stream of the year. So I do want to take this opportunity to say a massive thank you to everybody for the support this year. The channel has gone, this time last year, 6K. We're now at 52. I mean that's incredible. And I say it all the time. I know I moan a lot on social media and have my little bitchy moments, but I'm genuinely so proud of the channel and so grateful for all the support you guys give me. So thank you for everything over the last year. Have an awesome Christmas and a fantastic New Year. Don't drink too much if you are of that age, and just make sure you eat plenty. It's going to be fantastic. I will be back on Wednesday, or there'll be a video up on Wednesday, which is the top 5 drivers of 2018. That'll be up at 11 a.m. And then on the Saturday, or next Saturday, will be the 2018 season stats roundup. So still videos going up on the channel, but no live streams, probably now until, I would say, first Sunday of the new year. Most likely, might try and go live sooner, but definitely there. In the meantime, now you can follow me over on social media. Links to Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and of course to Discord are all in the description down below. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean. This has been the F1 Word, and until next time, Merry Christmas and goodbye.